Hello everyone, thanks for making your way back to pymacroups. This video is going to be about how I write OSRS bots in Python, and more specifically how to use the pyautogui package. In our last video, I discussed installing Python and the pyautogui package, so consider heading back to that video if you're wondering how to do that. To start writing your OSRS bots, you're going to have to open your editor for Python, which is Spyder if you followed the instructions in the last video. Remember, that's Spyder with a Y, S-P-Y-D-E-R. To give Python access to the pyautogui packages, the first thing you're going to want to write is import pyautogui. I like to stick at the end as pag, and then every time you reference it, you can use the word pag instead of pyautogui. You're also going to want to import time. Next, I like to change the pag.pos setting equal to 0.1. So in order to get a hold of the pag.pos setting, you're going to want to put in pyautogui.pos in all caps. All caps is what pyautogui uses for its settings variables. We're going to set pyautogui.pos to be equal to 0.1, which is going to set the timing between each movement made by pyautogui to be 0.1 seconds before you add any other delay. Every time in Python that you write something equals something else, you're setting the value of a variable, and that's important to remember. The reason I like to set this to be 0.1 is because if the time between the mouse movement and the mouse clicks is too fast, the RuneScape client will misinterpret what you're trying to do. Now, because I put the as pag after the pyautogui here, you don't actually need to put pyautogui.pos. That won't even work. If you put the as pag, you have to put pag.pos. So the important pyautogui commands that you're going to need to make an OSRS bot include pag.moveTo, which moves the mouse. You need to put in a value of x and a value of y to determine where the mouse is going to move to, and I'll explain that in a little while. Another important command is pag.click. This is obviously going to click your mouse where it is, so you're going to use the move to command before this one every time you're going to click in a particular spot. If you need to do a right click, you simply add button equals right like this. The reason right is in quotation marks is because it's actually a word you're passing to the function pag.click that we're labeling button. Anyway, not important. You're also going to need the pag.position function. Always remember you need to have open and closed brackets here. You don't necessarily need to understand why, but you will always need to put the brackets there. This will return your mouse position. So this command won't actually be used in your bots, but you'll need to know this command in order to get your mouse position to build your bots. The last command you're going to need is time.sleep. Remember, this is not a pag command. Don't put pag.sleep. It's time.sleep, and you input the number of seconds that you want it to wait. So by putting in 0.5, it's going to stop for 0.5 seconds and then continue with whatever's below that. Now, to figure out where your mouse positions are in the game, I like to open up a CMD window, and in there we're going to put in Python. Now we're inside another little editor for Python. In here you're going to want to put import pyautogui as pag, just like before. Click enter, and then you're going to want to put pag.position. Now when you click enter here, it's going to give you the position of your mouse like that. And then once you have a list of these positions on your CMD window, you can copy them down into your move to functions just like this. And then that's going to move the mouse to that position. So right now, our current script just sets the setting for the pause. I would usually put some space between this because it's not a command. And then down here, all it's going to do is wait half a second and then move our mouse to this position, which is somewhere around here. So I'll run it real quick by using the run button in Spyder, and we'll see the mouse. Oh, you gotta save it. Once you save it, it should move the mouse, which it did. Move the mouse real quick, and then the script ended, because once it gets to the end of the page, it stops doing things. And you can see that it executed and moved on to the next entry, which is my 27th entry. When you're trying to get a list of commands, just hit up and it'll give you the last command, so then you can move your mouse around to all the spots in the game that you want to do. If you can keep the command prompt window open without switching to your game window, then you can just click up, enter, up, enter, up, enter over and over again, and it'll give you all the different positions you need. And then you can just do it in order and copy them down into a bot that you later make. So this is what a lot of your bots are going to look like. Basically, you just wait some time, move the mouse, click in the next spot, and then wait some different amount of time, move to the new spot, click again. In a little while, I'm going to talk about how to put things through loops over and over again and how to build functions. But this is basically as far as you need to go to make your own little macro semi-automatic bot. So I'll show you an example. While I'm here, I'd just like to mention that if you put 3 quotation marks together in Python, anything the quotation marks surround will become commented out or won't do anything effectively. So it's a way of cutting off parts of your code from running. So now I've got a little bot here ready to show you guys. All it's going to do is bank my items and withdraw whatever's first in my bank. It's made to take glories out of the bank. And I just want to bring up before we go any further, if you put a number sign here before anything in any of your code, the rest of that line will be blanked out and won't be read as code. It's a way of labeling your code so you know what you're pointing to when you do a move to, pretty much. Now when we run this bot, it'll quickly just bank my items. And there you have it. Now I want to talk about defining functions. So I'm going to quickly cut this and define a function here called bank. So that's how you define a function. When you hit enter, it'll tab you out 4 spaces. So anything you write that needs to be within this defined bank function, it needs to be set out 4 spaces like this. So when you paste a set of commands into that, they're not all going to be 4 spaces out, but you can just grab everything and hit tab, and Spider knows what you're talking about and it'll move it to where it belongs. So now there's a function called bank that we can call, and it will do whatever the commands are that are listed inside bank. It always does them first to last, just like if they're outside of the function. But currently the code won't actually run the function because we've only defined it. So underneath all this, outside of the function itself, we're going to tell it to do the bank function. You got to put in those brackets because we're asking it to do a function, so we have to hand it nothing. And now when I run this, it'll do the exact same thing as before. So remember, nothing was special about the word bank here. I was labeling the function bank. You can put any name of your function right here. And then when you call it, just call it whatever you called it. And that'll work the exact same. We're gonna have to cut this video here, come back for the next video where I'll teach you guys about looping your scripts. Please like this video if you learned something. Have a good one.